we're going to circle back to Mike Sigler, since he can't make it tonight, and look at his review. As with most of these reports, it's pretty well straightforward, but I want to use this opportunity, and you can pass these out to the fellow board members. And these are for the general public also. This is something to do with a project with the power company. And there aren't any back there if you're looking for some. I'll leave some later. Y'all have some? Okay. So this basically is working with Jerry Goodnow and the power company. They want to do a data center up there. They want to get out of the power generating business. And that means for people who are concerned about natural gas, they don't want to do anything with natural gas. They don't want to generate power through the way it is now. They don't want coal is dead pretty well at the end of 2020, and they have no intent, and they're willing to sign a paper stating so that they have no desire to refire the plant with natural gas, whether through a pipe, or through trucks, or anything else. What they're trying to do, and this is one thing we're trying to lead up with the members here who are concerned about the solar up there, is that they need power. That was one thing 2 years ago when we met and tried to get them with their solar array on board, is that they need customers. So what they've done is they basically said, we'll be our own customer. So this will be in-house. And what the plan is that sometime in June, hopefully either the second Wednesday or the fourth Wednesday in June, to have a presentation, a question and answer period with the power company representatives, and to show them what this outlay is about. And basically what they tried to do before was an 18 megawatt, which would roughly be about 3,600 households. This one will be 15 megawatts. This data center will be, just imagine a warehouse from the outside, and on the inside you just have one rack after another of computers. It's not Bitcoin, these are all talking points too, you can do it later, but it is something that they want to go forward with. They think they can generate between 30 and 40 jobs with this. They also think that these jobs will be between $40,000 and $60,000 each. All this information is here. We'll leave it out to the public. I've sent it to Dan, he can publish it. I'll send it to Matt Montag so he can do the Tompkins Weekly. It's all information straight right there. The websites, here's the information for everybody to see. And at the end of the day, what we need from Lansing and the surrounding areas is a unified voice saying we need to have this done. That we are in favor of this, and that it seems to fit the criteria of the carbon footprint. It seems to fit the criteria of transitioning to I guess you call it the being more green. All these things come together, and wouldn't it be nice if that end of Lansing was the next industrial park? Because you have power, you have electricity there, and what they're trying to do with the New York State Power Authority, which is NYPA? Not NEPA, I get all these acronyms, I mean, you know, so NYPA, New York State Power Authority, they want to get their power through hydro. They also want to do it through solar, and they also want to have batteries there to store it. So just imagine a high peak time when everybody's sucking all the juice out trying to get their air conditioners to work. They're off the grid because they're running on the batteries. It also is a win-win for the grid. And when you look at these batteries, they're not cheap. $2 million per megawatt. So 50 megawatts will cost you $100 million for these batteries, and they last 4 to 5 years. So, okay, and then what do you do afterwards? But this is how you implement, this is how you learn, this is how you get better at it. So this is something that we as a board, I hope that the board will come to a consensus to support, a letter of support. I hope that the board will reach out to Barbara Lipton. Michael, come right up here and sit down, my friend. We're talking about the power plant right now. Okay. And you can chime in anytime you want. But we're trying to get on board with this power plant to do this. Like I said, that energy produced will only go towards their project. It's not going to be sent out to the grid. It's not going to do anything else. These are the talking points you saw also from Jerry Goodnow. So that's where I am from here. I've given them background on this. If you want to see it from a county perspective, you want to chime in now. We've already gone through the report of what you have submitted, so now we're talking about the power company.
I'm sorry if I'm being redundant. Track me.
No, go ahead.
But, I'm going to get to county business in just a minute, but I did want to talk about this. Last week some new rules are coming out onto the books from the New York State's environmental regulator. They are going to have a big impact, obviously, on the Cayuga power plant because it's one of only 2 coal-fired power plants left in the state. The rules that are being put in place, basically knocks them out of the box. They're not going to be able to burn coal and meet the regulations, so obviously they're going to have to close down. The only other option was to repower. Still on the table. I mean, they could truck in natural gas, I suppose, or if somebody ever wants to run a pipeline to them, they could. But they've really they've foreseen this coming, and then the power plant has decided to kind of go in another direction if they can. They want to make this into a data center, so clearly the talking points you probably were just talking about. Pretty exciting. It could be 30 to 40 new jobs. These are going to be higher tech jobs than what we had in place before. The company seems like they want to take care of their people as well. And so a data center, what's it going to be? Basically cloud storage. It doesn't actually go to a cloud. It goes to someplace here on land. This will be one of those big data banks that we can store. It's remarkable. I was at another meeting a couple weeks ago. They were talking about LiDAR, and they were shooting LiDAR down into a jungle so that they could map Mayan relics, right? The amazing part was they had to do, each little point was a data point. There was just so much data, and you're just, where do you put it all? That's where you put it all. You put it into a data center. It's going to take a lot of power to run that, so that's why they need an interconnect agreement so that they can draw from the grid that kind of power. They've already done this. I asked Blackstone Group, what experience do you have in this? You're a power producer, you're not a storage facility. They've actually already done this to a plant out in Montana. They had a lot of support from the state of Montana to do this. The governor really got on board and got behind it. So what happened there was they were able to create this. They need the same kind of support from our state that they had kind of out in Montana. What is that support? What does that look like? Well, they need some power from the New York Power Authority. They need an allocation from there that will help with the transition to this new data center. This totally fits with the governor's plans to move away from fossil fuels. It also has the added benefit of not stranding these assets up there. That would be sad to just have this power plant there and sit and rot, and that would be all that would happen. I mean, I've seen this happen to power plants down in Cayuga, Chemung County. Hickman power plant just kind of sits there in the river and it just rots away. It doesn't do anything. This would be something that would be bringing back on tax rolls, right? Right now, we keep losing value. Well, this is going to be a brand new valuable asset. It's $100 million new investment into the town. So just something that we can go forward with. This allocation that we were talking about, though, is essential. It would be an allocation basically of power from Niagara Falls. They need it at that cheaper rate to make this happen. The also nice thing about the allocation is obviously green power. Niagara Falls is the largest renewable energy resource that we have in New York State, so we would have that added benefit too. So that's something that really the governor, I'm hoping, will get on board with. They're talking about things like artificial intelligence. Martha Pollack up at Cornell University, she is an expert at that. That is her field of study, is AI and mechanical learning and things like that, machine learning. And Cornell, obviously, global, we're going to get to this in a second, global university. This, again, fits into that. Well, what is the next step? And Lansing will then lead the pack on what that next step is going to look like. So just exciting news. You already have the talking points. I lay out everything pretty much in my report here about what's going to happen with that. And that's where the power plant wants to go. That is the transition they want to make right now. So hopefully you all can get behind that. I don't see why you wouldn't, who knows? But something that just really could be so impactful for the town and for the county, actually, as something new, and it really is new to New York State. I don't think there is one actually in New York State. If there is, it's a much smaller one than what they have planned here.
No, they're actually trying to do this also at Somerset, so they have twofold on both of theirs. And as you transition from one to the other, you really try to address some of the concerns, which are how do you implement this? But these are all noble ideas, and I always use the example of the calculator that runs on this type of light. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to generate that much power off your house with this type of light? I mean, it would alleviate a lot of things, but we're not there yet. So having said that, these are some of the things I think that for as diverse as we are in this county, I think a lot of the circles cross on this issue.
Well, and again, with power, I put this in the report too, power production in this state, they don't really see much of a future for it, even with natural gas. I mean, the prices for electricity have really gone through the floor in this state. To make that kind of investment into that, they're seeing this as maybe a better model, and they're saying this is we can make a much better business case for this, but they do need that power allocation. So that's something that, and we have a lot of partners already. They don't know how to build a data center, but all of their partners do. They've already made those connections, and they know how to do it because they did it out in Montana. So the same partnerships are going to come together to do this. And even at the county.
Can I squeeze in a few questions here?
Yeah, please.
So are they going to do this in the power plant building? Are they going to retrofit the building? Are they going to build a separate building?
It's my understanding they're going to retrofit the building, but they are going to build the solar panel array outside, so that'll be 17 megawatts, 18 megawatts. So.
It would be on 75 acres like the other one was.
But it's basically the same footprint of the building or similar footprint?
Well, I'm not going to speak for them on that. What I do know from what I read here is that rather than 18 megawatts on 75 acres, it would be 15 megawatts on 75 acres. And
no, I'm not talking about the data center.
I'm not dodging this question.
Okay.
I'm simply saying that we should write down these questions, and at the presentation, whether in the second Wednesday, hopefully or the fourth Wednesday, we can have a Q&A session here. And if you have questions that you want to email me, CJ, ahead of time, that way we can send them out to people so we have accurate information. And one of the things I asked Jerry specifically is that will you sign an agreement that you will not refire the plant with natural gas? He said yes. You take the natural gas right off the table. Right off the table, because I asked him that specifically. So that is no longer an issue for the trucks, the trucking, the pipes. Goodbye, okay? Where it's a new chapter, new book, new story, new success. This is entirely different now. They're going to reinvent themselves into something like this. So, and I asked them that specifically because that will take a lot of the angst out of the room.
Right.
And then you become a symbiotic relationship as opposed to something that's contentious. And I will hold his feet to the fire on this also, because if you want us to move forward, you have to sign that paper saying, look, you're not going to do this. And that's what he said. And so
I think that'll help a lot.
That'll be huge, my friend, because...
So another question, the railroad tracks, if they're not running coal up there, can those get repurposed? Because that's beautiful lakefront property that we can use for recreational uses much better than just abandoned tracks. And I'm wondering if that's a possibility on the table.
I think it's going to be Watco.
That's
the train company, I think. Separate company.
Yeah, my understanding is that I'm not going to speak for them, but Watco leases it from the Northwest Southern. So they lease it from us, so Northwest Southern still owns it. My understanding is that, you might have more information on that, Dave, but my information is that the railroad does not give up their tracks.
The other great thing, the reason I want to put this here too is because they already have a water intake agreement. And obviously, they need a lot of water to cool a certain farm like this. So.
And I guess the next question is, the folks that are working there now, are they going to be able to keep some of those and transition them into this new position?
Well, let me answer that question, because I asked them that also. Basically, there'll be 2 to 4 year degree positions. Can some of these people be transitioned over? We hope so. The way that I phrase it is that they got a better chance of staying employed going in this direction than not doing anything, because they won't be employed at all. So maybe some of them can transition over, maybe some of them can retire early. I don't know how many are there anymore. My hope was that they would stay at least busy enough to have most of them exit on their time schedule, not all of a sudden say, here, you're 58 years old, good luck with that, you're on your own now. Haven't been through that, it's not fun. But having said that, that question did come up. And I'm not going to speak for them either, but it's a different business model than what they're doing now. So does that mean that they're not going to have jobs? I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to try to help this business survive and get it as much assessed value for the town and employees and make people as possible. Whatever happens after that, that's up to the business. That's the best we can do. But that is a concern of mine, and I have voiced that to Jerry Goodnow also.
Do you have
ask a question?
Please do.
It was my understanding that the governor would assign some money for communities that had power plants that were closing, but that we didn't qualify because our power plant didn't close.
Right.
So would we now qualify for that?
That is presumably, yes. So that's something we'll have to take back up with Barbara Lipton. She was the one who kept pushing that. And, yeah, definitely something we're going to apply for if power plant closes, power plant closes. I think it's really to benefit us, to benefit you as a tax entity. And this is going to take a while to bring online, so there should be money for that.
I don't know. I mean, it's a new day. It's a new business model. I mean, obviously, we accepted any help that the governor can give us. 2 years ago, we thoroughly, it was more than 2 years ago, because Senator Zolia wrote the letter, I believe, right? So it was more than 2 years ago, we actually, it must have been my first year in office, where we tried to see, can we get money from this? And we had Barbara Lipton write the letters. We had full support from everybody. I mean, you know, when you have full support from everybody, you really cherish those. You don't forget those moments, because it doesn't happen very often. So, having said that, we tried everything. And the problem is that it's like trying to inherit your parents' estate when they're still alive and they're on life support. And that's basically what it was. They're down to 20 million, but they're not done because they could still limp along. And so that was the situation. It was kind of like the worst case scenario. If you're not going up, you're not going down, you just sit there. Meanwhile, as we talked about earlier, 11 years ago, it was valued at 160 million. And if you cumulatively go down 160 million down to where it is now, it's, you know, it adds up to almost $1 billion. And you multiply that by $30 a thousand, that's a lot of tax revenue that Lansing's out of it. So, having said all that, I try to focus on positives. This is an opportunity. Not the past is past. I'm focusing on how we can help Lansing now. And if we have to help them reinvent themselves, I'm all in. And if Albany can give us some money to help that transition, wonderful. I mean, only helps the governor's goal of switching over. I mean, here it is, a power plant that's no longer coal. What do you want to do with it? I mean, my whole thing is that you want this, show us how much you want it. Help us.
Do we have an approximate timeline that they're looking at?
Once again, this is the June 2nd. I mean, these are all questions that, like I said, please, just keep sending us these questions because I don't want to speak for anybody else, for any business. You know, this is their plan. I mean, what the good news was that we developed that relationship. I mean, Michael and I developed that relationship with them. I still have the picture there 3 years ago when we did this thing with the solar. And most of, you haven't changed. You know, the guy next to you looks a little older. But we all have, all the players are still there, basically. And hopefully this one's going to have much more positive results. Anything else, Michael?
That's it on the power plant. I think I covered everything I was going to say.